Thank you for joining us for our midday devotional, Family Basics 101. On yesterday, we began a series looking at interesting Bible characters. And we want you to be encouraged through this series of lessons that people can change for the better. On yesterday, we introduced the story of a woman who is known as a prostitute. And we define a prostitute as a woman or a male who engages in sexual intercourse for payment. A harlot is defined as a vagabond, a whore, an idler, a woman of the street, or a working girl. And in the days of Solomon, harlots appeared openly in the streets. And we also pointed up yesterday that Rahab's lifestyle was an interesting lifestyle. In the book of Joshua, chapter 2, verse 1, Joshua secretly sent out 2 spies from the Israelite camp at Archaea Grove, and he gave them specific instructions: scout out the land on the other side of the Jordan, especially around Jericho. So the 2 men set out and came to the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there that night. The scriptures are very, very clear that she is a prostitute. And the scriptures are equally as clear that these men stayed in her home while they were spying out the land. We also pointed up yesterday Rahab's heart, because you can't really appreciate a person's behavior or at least be empathetic toward it unless you understand their heart. Sometimes we have a tendency of writing people off based on their ungodly behavior and never really get to know the heart of the individual. But there's something different. There's something unique about Rahab. And there's something that's driving her when these men appear to change her behavior. And I pointed up on yesterday also that according to Genesis 15, beginning at verse number 16, you keep in mind God had made a promise to Abraham that through his seed, all of the nations would be blessed. And God also promised Abraham that this would come to pass, this land possession, when the wickedness of the Amorites was completed. Now, in the days of Rahab, the time of the fulfillment has arrived. God is completely fed up with the behavior of the Amorites. And it appears that this warning had been known to the Amorites, to the people of Jericho and the surrounding areas. That had been known for generations. And in the midst of Rahab participating in the ungodly actions that she was participating in, prostitution, pleasing men, she was doing what basically everybody in the region was doing. And that is, they were doing what was right in their own sight. But in the midst of that generational evil, it appears that now Rahab recognizes with the arrival of those 2 spies that something different is about to happen. Now, all of a sudden, Rahab, the harlot, the prostitute, has changed to the welcome home ministry of Rahab. In Joshua 2, verses 1 and 2, now Joshua the son of Nun sent out 2 men from Archaea Grove to spy out secretly, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and came to the house of a harlot named Rahab and lodged there. Now, imagine entering the place that will be home for Israel for the next 500-600 years for the first time and being entertained by a woman in a house of prostitution. These are God men going over there under order from Joshua. And the welcome ministry is from Rahab. Rahab has exemplary warmth, and it was an indicator from God of the promise made to Adam and Eve about redemption. Rahab receives these men very warmly, and I'll show you why in just a second. But that was the behavior that prostitutes possessed. They would receive people with a warmth about them. And sometimes it would be pretentious. But with Rahab receiving these spies, it appears to be genuine. Rahab's sinful prosperity made it possible for her to have a home in a very strategic location. It wasn't everybody that had a house elevated, that was up on the wall. But this woman has prospered in her business as being a prostitute. Rahab's business also taught her how to keep confidential matters confidential. It's like our US saying about Las Vegas. What went on in Rahab's home in Jericho stayed in Rahab's home in Jericho, much like what goes on in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. But this woman is prosperous. This woman shows warmth. Her business had taught her you don't talk about who your clients were once your clients are gone. Rahab's business also taught her how to show hospitality to strangers. I mean, she's in the hospitality business. And this woman now shifts her money-making business, her pleasing men business, into welcoming the people of God, the spies of God, into a land that she knows very well is going to be their land. Rahab's trip to the rooftop in this story is very different. Prostitutes don't make money by talking now. They make money by performing. Look at Joshua 2, verses 8 and 9. Before the spies went to sleep that night, Rahab went up on the roof to have a talk with them. That's not what prostitutes do. But yet that's the behavior, the new behavior of Rahab. The spies went up to go to sleep. They didn't go up there to sleep with her, nor did she go up to sleep with them. Something has changed in her heart. And listen at what she says. I know the Lord has given you this land, she told them. We're all afraid of you. Everyone in the land is living in terror. Prostitutes typically have another method to help clients sleep well, and it's not talk. But she doesn't use that other method. She goes up and talks with them. There's something strange about the talk. She's not talking to them about their journey. She's not talking to them about what they've eaten or what they've been depraved of. Prostitutes don't normally talk about the Lord when they're working. She goes up on the roof and she has a conversation about the Lord. This is a woman who has a history of pleasing men. This is a woman who's built her wealth from pleasing men. And yet she has now begun a hospitality ministry. Yet now she has begun to talk about the Lord. It's an amazing transformation from the least expected person. I want you to come back again tomorrow, and we will continue looking at the life of this transformed woman by the name of Rahab. Very, very interesting individual. But I think as we study and as we learn more about her, it will enrich our walk with the life. Ladies that are listening, I want you to be encouraged from this. Don't let anyone burden you down with what your life used to be. Rahab refused to be defined by her past. She understood, yes, my past is my past, but as bad, as hideous as my past has been, I've heard talk about the Lord. And I believe that what God has said to his people is indeed what God promised to his people. And based on that, I'm willing to now turn my life over to the Lord. It's an amazing testimony. And it's one of the most encouraging studies that I think we'll ever study in the Old Testament about the power of change. Come back tomorrow and we'll continue the study. I'll see you back in class again tomorrow. Don't be late and don't skip class.